If you have been following this Tiffany Henyard saga, you know she lost her bid for township supervisor.
Ray and Micah, we were promised a raucous caucus, and indeed, that is what we witnessed. Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, who was appointed to that position tonight, lost her bid for the Democratic Party's nomination in this rarely used political process. It now appears if she wants to run for supervisor again, it will have to be as a write-in candidate. That is the sound of an auditorium full of Tiffany Henyard opponents rejecting her nomination for Thornton Township Supervisor in the party's first township caucus in decades.
You ain't let the people be heard.
As she protested the process, arguing her supporters were still waiting to be let inside.
Guys, have a good night, eat the food, and be merry. This meeting is adjourned.
The meeting lasted only moments, but it was strategized beforehand. State Senator Napoleon Harris is the Democratic committeeman for Thornton Township. He alone decides whether to hold a primary election or a caucus. Amid the turmoil tied to embattled Supervisor Henyard, Harris chose a caucus and won the nomination.
The Democratic nominee for supervisor is Napoleon Harris.
Henyard walked out of the meeting and into a waiting SUV without speaking to us, but here's what she said before the caucus began.
They can't beat me. If they could beat me, they would have went to the polls.
What do you do tonight if you don't get the Democratic Party's nomination?
What do you mean? I will be victorious tonight. You will see. My people are here. They're not going to go nowhere. The show will go on.
Her allies now figuring out their next steps.
This is the biggest. This is the biggest. This is a fraud.
To fight the result.
This is criminal. I would easily say hundreds of people that were not allowed in to be a part of the process.
And we did hear quite a few complaints tonight that Henyard opponents were allowed inside before her supporters. We know there was an event going on before the caucus began. Napoleon Harris's attorney told me that was a Democratic Party fundraiser, although Harris himself said it was not a fundraiser. So that's something that will certainly be examined in the coming days. I am told, though, that those people who were let in had their IDs checked to make sure that they were registered Democratic voters who live in Thornton Township. We're live in Homewood.
Prior to that, Tiffany Henyard was facing another challenge. In October, Tiffany Henyard's landlord, Janetta Hall, filed an eviction lawsuit against her and her boyfriend for non-payment of rent.
Happening tonight in the south suburbs, the woman who owns a Dalton home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now she wants her out. NBC5's Regina Waldrop with the story.
We talked to Tiffany Henyard's landlord, and she says she came to this Thornton Township meeting Tuesday night hoping to get paid what she says she's owed.
We do not have a quorum, so we will not be having a board meeting this evening.
With Thornton Township's board meeting canceled, Janetta Hall will have to find another way to serve an eviction notice to Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, also Dalton's mayor.
So now I have to pay a special process service in order to get them served, which is more fees for me.
Hall says she leased this home to Henyard and her boyfriend in 2021. She says the last payment came in August. She filed eviction papers last month. She says she's now owed $5,000 in back rent plus late fees. She says the couple was a no-show for a Zoom hearing Tuesday morning.
The sheriff's been out here a few times to serve them. For a household that makes, over $350,000 a year, I'm asking for pennies.
Hull says she hasn't been able to gain access to the home or garage to do maintenance.
I gave them 48 hours notice. And then I also texted them about 15 minutes before I got here. So there's a code on the garage, and then there's locks on the front door that were changed.
In a statement, an attorney for Tiffany Henyard told NBC5 no comment at this time. Hull says she regrets renting to the couple.
I don't think the money is worth it. The cash up front is not worth it. I would have rather rented to someone who, is an honest person and goes to work every day and works hard.
This matter heads back to court next Tuesday at the Markham Courthouse. Regina Waldrop, NBC5 News.
Thank you, Regina.
As mentioned in the story, the landlord tried to serve Tiffany Henyard several times but was unsuccessful. The landlord finally served her during one of the town hall meetings.
Her landlord confirming to WGN News these papers served to Henyard at the start of this meeting are eviction summons and complaints.
Tiffany Henyard filed a motion to strike and dismiss the landlord's eviction complaint. She asked that the lawsuit be dismissed because a copy of the lease and rental application was not included when the landlord filed her complaint. This is ironic because, according to a statement made by Tiffany Henyard's attorney, no proof of missed payment can be produced as no payment has ever been missed. So you would think their defense would be to show the court proof that all rent payments were made. Tiffany Henyard also filed a motion asking the court to remove her from the lawsuit and to seal the court records pertaining to this case. There was also an affidavit from Tiffany Henyard with the following statements: that she never had a contractual agreement with the landlord. No lease agreement exists or ever existed between her and Janetta Hall. Janetta Hall has never been her landlord. She never lived at any property owned by Janetta Hall. She also does not owe and has never owed any money for rent. And that the landlord only named her in this eviction complaint for malicious purposes. And this is an attempt to cause her public embarrassment, shame, and disgrace, and to garner media attention for herself. After Tiffany Henyard's attempt to get the case dismissed due to certain documents not being included with the filing, the landlord motioned the court to file an amended complaint. The court granted the landlord's motion and the amended complaint was filed. In the amended complaint, the landlord asked for possession of the property, $9,800 in past due rent, and $3,800 in late fees. A copy of the 5-day notice to quit was included. The rental application was also included, listing both Tiffany Henyard's and her boyfriend's names. A copy of a 2021 rental lease was included, in both Tiffany Henyard's and her boyfriend's name. A 2023 rental lease was also included, but this only had Tiffany Henyard's boyfriend's name. There was also a letter from the law firm representing Tiffany Henyard and her boyfriend, confirming that he was still at the property and that neither the property nor their belongings had been abandoned. The court also denied Tiffany Henyard's motion to be removed from the lawsuit and to seal the court records. There was a status hearing on December 17th. At that hearing, the landlord's attorney showed up and asked for a continuance, so the new hearing date is January 7th. In a turn of events, on January 2nd, the attorney representing Tiffany Henyard and her boyfriend motioned the court to be withdrawn from the case. There was also a notice of motion to withdraw as the attorney of records, showing that Tiffany Henyard and her boyfriend have been notified by the attorney and that he would no longer be representing them and they would need to retain other counsel. The attorney also stated that he plans to attend the hearing on January 7th. However, it's not to represent Tiffany Henyard or her boyfriend, but to present the motion to be withdrawn. I wonder what caused the attorney to want to be withdrawn 4 days before the hearing. The landlord also filed a new motion asking the court to grant her immediate possession of the property because the rent hasn't been paid since August of 2024. As an additional remedy, she also wants the keys to the property, also the access code to the garage. She also submitted an affidavit stating that Tiffany Henyard and her boyfriend have been her tenants since 2021. She also mentioned that she has text messages between her and Tiffany Henyard showing requests for various repairs and the installation of fixtures at the property. So let's see what happens on the 7th. Is Tiffany Henyard going to show up? Will she have a new attorney? Leave a comment and let me know what you think.